All right, class, we're going to work on intermediate chapter 16, which is dilutive securities and earnings per share. Now, there's a lot of things we're cutting out of this chapter, so basically you need to know about dilutive securities and how to issue convertible bonds, and then how to do weighted average number of shares, and then earnings per share. So let's get started, and I'll probably do a second video just on a dilutive earnings per share. All right, so what are dilutive securities? They're securities that will, if you exercise them or convert them, they will add additional shares of common stock. So things like convertible bonds or convertible preferred stock, warrants, contingent shares, something like that. Now, dilutive is the idea of dilution or watering down the stock. Anything that can increase the number of shares would be diluted. And it's a security that does this, not just issuing more shares just because you sell more shares. So the best example, or the first example, I guess, is the convertible bond. And when bonds are converted, they can be converted into shares of common stock. And when they're converted, we're going to use the book value of the bonds, and so there's no gain or loss that's recorded. So for example, Irving has convertible bonds with a book value of $32,000. That's $30,000 face and a $2,000 premium that's still unamortized. The bonds are convertible into 1,200 shares of common stock that have a $10 par and $36 face value, fair value. Now, one thing you're trying to do on convertible bonds is you're trying to make it a little bit more attractive where you don't have to pay quite as much interest. So this is an interest saving kind of idea if you add a convertible feature to the bond. So if you convert, then let's look at the common stock. You've got 1,000 shares at $10 par, so that's should be 1,200 shares rather. 1,200 shares times $10, that's $12,000. The bonds payable has a face amount of $30,000. The premium on bonds payable is $2,000. We're getting rid of that. And so then our plug number to make it all work is we're issuing common stock. We're getting rid of, retiring the bonds, and we're issuing common stock. So this converts a long-term liability into stockholders' equity, into capital stock. Now, there's also convertible preferred stock, same kind of idea. We don't have to do a journal entry on that, but if you convert preferred stock into common stock, that's an easy transaction. Now, stock warrants. We're going to have several things here on stock warrants. Stock warrants are certificates that we add to a security. They could be standalone, but they could be detachable stock warrants, which is added to a debt or a stock or whatever. So it allows the holder to buy shares of stock at a certain price within a certain period. So sometimes these are called stock options. So it happens in three conditions. If you want to add an equity kicker or a sweetener to make the security more attractive, you can add bonds with detachable warrants. So you can now also have some stocks that you can purchase based on this stock option. It's a preemptive right you can give to existing stockholders, or you can add it as compensation for executives and employees. So I've got some information for you on the spreadsheet, but let's do a calculation. There's two ways to allocate. If you're issuing bonds and warrants, you need to allocate it. We're going to do the proportional method, and I'm not going to show you how to do the incremental method, but you can see how this works. Let's assume that Pontel Corporation issued 500 bonds of $1,000 bonds with warrants attached for par. So they sold those at $500,000. Each bond has one warrant attached. It's estimated the bonds will sell for 98. Remember, 98 would be 98%, so that's selling at a little bit of a discount. Without the warrants and the value of the warrants in the market, it would be $25,000. So we allocate based on the fair value of the bonds is going to be $500,000 times 98%. That's $490,000. The fair value of the warrants would be $25,000, and the total fair value would be $515,000. But we only received $500,000. So we're going to allocate the 490 out of 515. So we're going to allocate 475,000 and allocate the 25 over 515 and we'll allocate the 24,272. So the journal entry would be, we receive cash, we're going to set up a discount on bonds payable, we're going to set up the bonds payable and the paid in capital for stock warrants. So here we've recognized we've received $500,000 for two things, the bonds payable and for the stock warrants. All right, what if we exercise the stock warrants? They're exercised for $15 cash, one warrant. You give the warrant $15 cash and you receive one share of $5 par common stock for each of the 500 warrants. All right, so we're going to collect cash of $7,500, 500 times 15. We're going to get rid of the paid in capital up here for the warrants, $24,000. The common stock, we're going to debit at credit at par value, and the rest will be additional paid in capital for this common stock. So that's how you do. This is the proportional method, and then actually selling stock warrants. You receive the stock warrant, you receive cash, and you issue stock if you're the company. We're not going to do the incremental method. Now, stock compensation plans. If companies give stock options or warrants for compensation, a lot of times you'll hear as tech startups, if a new company getting started, you can't pay a lot of salary, so you say, hey, we'll give you stock options that are good for 3 years, so if we can grow the company and we can go public and we can increase the stock price, then you'll make compensation for that. So we won't do any problems on stock compensation plans, but it is an expense called compensation expense using the fair value method. But anyway, this is a large component of compensation expense, especially for startup type companies. Also, in this idea is the employee stock purchase plan. This is not compensation if these three items are met, where all full-time employees may participate in an equitable or fair basis. The discount for the market is small, and the plan offers no substantive option feature. So if you say, hey, everybody, you can buy stock at a 10% discount or a 15% discount, and anybody in the company can do that, then that's not really compensation. You're just giving them a chance to invest money. You're not trying to make that additional compensation. All right, so we need to calculate earnings per share. Earnings per share is kind of the big calculation in this topic. So let's get started with earnings per share. Now, earnings per share is basic formula is the net income minus preferred stock dividends divided by the weighted average number of shares outstanding. Now, that's complicated. By the way, this net income minus preferred stock dividends is sometimes called income available for common stockholders. You'll also see it called earnings available for common stockholders. So sometimes you might hear it called EACS. So that is net income minus preferred stock dividends. Now, for a company that has simple capital structure, this is just basic earnings per share, or maybe we just call it, earnings per share. So if you have a simple complex capital structure, then there's no dilutive securities. If it's a complex capital structure, then you've got things like convertible bonds and convertible preferred stock, and you've issued bonds with stock warrants. So then you calculate that first earnings per share, which is basic earnings per share, and then you need to calculate a diluted earnings per share. So this first video just has basic earnings per share, how to get started. Now, this is a calculation that's complicated, and this is a little calculation. So getting earnings per share first is a little bit of a challenge. So make sure you know how to do this. So let's give you a problem here. January 1, Vermont Maple had 2,650,000 shares of common stock issued and outstanding. During 2021, it had the following transactions. Now, it issued some more shares. It acquired 2,000 shares. It repurchased those for treasury stock. it issued a 20% stock dividend. It reissued 240,000 shares of treasury stock that's already adjusted for the stock dividend. And then at the end of the year, they said there is a 2-for-1 stock split. Now, here's the challenge. And I've got a chart where it shows everything. You're going to have to go back and look. 2-for-1 stock split is not really an economic event. It says if you have 100 shares, now you have 200. So what we're going to have to do is any time before this, we're going to assume the stock split happened at the very beginning of the year. So all these shares get doubled. And then the same thing for a 20% stock dividend. We're going to, anything prior to this, we're going to go backwards and say, hey, the 20% stock dividend happened as of January 1st. So let's kind of show you how this works. And you kind of look at the spreadsheet and kind of see how this works. So for the months of January and February, that's 2 months, we had 2,650,000 shares. We need to restate that in terms of the 20% stock dividend. So we need to multiply that number times 1.2, and we need to multiply that number times 2. We're going to assume the 20% stock dividend happened at the very beginning of the year, and the 2-for-1 stock split, which is 200%. So that's the 2. So we're going to multiply that and get a different number, and then the fraction of the year is going to be 2/12. So here's our formula. We're going to take the 2.65 million times 1.2 times 2 times 2 divided by 12. We're going to take this and multiply all this to get the number of shares. Anything before the 20%, we're going to include it. At this point, we no longer include the 20% stock dividend because it's already built into these number of shares. And after October 1st, it's already restated in terms of double the number of shares. So if we multiply this out, so go back and see if you can do this. This is a good problem to do. This is the weighted average number of shares is 6.6 million. Remember, we started at 2,650,000, but that would be more than 5 million based on the 20% and based on the 2-for-1 stock split. We've got to reshape everything, reclassify everything according to that 1.2, the 20% dividend, and the 2-for-1 stock split. All right, so that's an important calculation. And so just list them all out. This is the easiest way to do it. It's a little bit complicated, but it's the easiest way to do it. You're welcome to build a spreadsheet. Make sure you know how to do that, or copy this and modify it for whatever you need. Now let's assume that Vermont Maple had net income of $8,352,000. It had 200,000 shares of 9%, $100 par, non-convertible, but cumulative preferred stock outstanding for the entire year. Now they didn't pay a dividend in 2020 or 2021, but what would earnings per share be? Now I'm just restating the formula here. The earnings per share is the net income minus preferred stock dividends. So the net income is given. The preferred stock dividends. Now why do we need to calculate preferred stock dividends? Because preferred stock is cumulative in this case. That means we basically owe it. The first time we start paying dividends again, we owe that. So that is not available to common stockholders. So the 1.8 million we're going to set aside. We have, remember the EACS. EACS is the earnings available to common stockholders, is net income minus preferred stock dividends. So the earnings per share calculation is the 6,552,000 divided by our earnings per share, our number of weighted average number of shares, which is the 6,660,000, and we end up with, divided out, we end up with 98 cents is our earnings per share. Now, the next step is, let's assume the preferred stock is not cumulative. Well, it's an easier problem. Net income minus 0 is going to be just the net income. So net income divided by the number of shares is $1.25. So that's how you do dilutive securities and weighted average number of shares and earnings per share, the basic earnings per share. I will try to find a diluted earnings per share problem and create a second video for you so you're in good shape on that. All right, thanks. Good luck.